It's Bronsberry, man. Please make sure that you like and subscribe to the video. Thank you. So I figured that I'd do a new series that's going to be talking about the breakdown of jobs, really, the breakdown of the labor force. And in this series, I kind of just want to make it noted that I think a lot of these different scenarios that's taking place with a lot of the workforce, saying I quit and saying that I don't want to be involved with corporate America anymore, and people opting out for autonomous jobs or, mainly dealing with the workforce via the internet and staying at home is one of those type of tools that they're using for socialization, the new transition to socialization, which would be more or less the idea of isolation and socialization becoming dead if it hasn't already. There's always been phases to how socialization has decreased over time, where, the whole entire thing is before, let's just use children as an example. Children were going outside playing and, getting to know each other, making new friends at the park and all these different things. Whereas now children are more opted to use technology, using the iPad, using your cell phone, using all these different things out here to communicate with friends, or I guess make friends cyberly more than actually making friends at the park or at school. Now, the thing about it is that, again, we're in a so-called pandemic, which I said to one of my last videos, where isolation seems to be growing. It seems to be one of those type of things that's the transition to increase isolation, not socialization. So this is a thing that I also wanted to talk about. They have the whole entire thing about the police force. A lot of officers is opting out and taking the whole entire jab or getting the syringe, and they believe that they should stay unsyringed. And the firefighters, from the firefighters to, even those individuals involved in healthcare. As much as we want to blame Joe Biden for the idea of these mandates and, all these different cities around the world that's sitting up there saying you must get syringed or you're not going to be able to be a functional member of society. We all know, those who know and pay attention, this is all simulated. What would be the transition of the next society? Who knows? We already know that the technologies that they're saying that they're testing and seeing how people react to it, it's not about that, because they know that a large majority of Americans are not going to fight back. So why did I make this video today? Those who know in the internet world knows about this AI robot called Sophia, which legally has a license, legally has a place of residence, legally exists, and is adopted as an actual human being, has a passport and all that, right? And the thing about it is, what I believe, maybe other YouTubers explain it better than I can, that the so-called pandemic is nothing more but a testing ground in order to transition the society from the ground up. Okay, this is like ground zero building the new World Trade Center. It was dirt and rubble before and all this other stuff. Over time, they figured out a new design, and now the building is, I don't know how many stories tall. But basically, we're going to be talking about a healthcare professional, or those that's out there that Sophia has a friend that works in the healthcare industry. And the thing about it is, you have to understand what this is. This new friend is going to be the front runners of the healthcare industry. So of course, when it comes to a lot of these professionals, these professions, a lot of people making middle class income or higher income off these professions, it's not going to exist to y'all in the next 5 to 10 years. Okay, as we transition into this NWO, new world society and all this other stuff, it's not, a lot of people is just, if you believe that you're going to be able to stay in these industries, you're not. A lot of these industries will be replaced with AI technology. And the thing about it is that in my sentiment and my beliefs, there's going to be reasons to license to kill. There's going to be license to kill on certain things. And they're going to be like, well, you know, the jurisdiction said this, that, and the third, and they legally signed it, so we're not responsible and blah, blah, blah. You know how it is when it comes to certain things like that. Now, I want you to pay attention to what's on the screen right here, okay? I want you to pay attention to this. Meet Grace, the healthcare robot CV19 created celebrity humanoid robot Sophia, robot nurse. And the thing about it is, yeah, they could be a little bit shocked that a lot of the healthcare workers left out on the field, but in certain instances, this is what they wanted. Now, pay attention to what it says right here, China and United States. Now, we have an understanding when it comes to China that they're leading when it comes to the world powers that be, but they are very advanced, or at least that's the stereotype that Americans have towards China and them being diverse when it comes to technology, okay? They're really out there when it comes to this technology and what's next, going to 5G to 6G, 7G, 8G, and all these different things. More ways to fire or to sit up there and scramble the human's brain and functions, their mobilities, and this, that, and the third. But getting back to this video, I want you to see, this is Sophia right here, and this is the new little robot called Grace, okay? This is what's going on in your world. Okay, this is the whole entire thing this is why I say all the time, the first fixture in order to put these new technologies out into the force, you have to create a vulnerable environment. From creating a vulnerable environment, then you're able to put out these technologies out there because they have a use to go for those who are very vulnerable and is on the close to the deathbed or need a lot of assistance. Instead of you thinking for yourself in certain instances and able to do for yourself and be able to get where you need to be. So we're gonna watch this video, fair use.
The Hong Kong team behind celebrity humanoid robot Sophia is launching a new prototype, Grace, targeted at the healthcare market and designed to interact with the elderly and those isolated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Dressed in a blue nurse's uniform, Grace has Asian features, collar-length brown hair, and a thermal camera in her chest to take your temperature and measure your responsiveness.
Now, this is a thing before we continue. I think this is something I really want to question. This is an analysis that I would like to bring. When it comes to certain things to appeal to people, or I guess if you're talking, and I don't want to say this is widespread, as such as when we think about things when it comes to sexuality or attractiveness, why is it the fact of the matter that they decide to use Asian women as a catalyst in order to act on the human emotions to seem some type of peace? The facial features of an Asian woman, does it denote some type of femininity that a lot of people find adorable and all these different things? This is not me being racist, but this is something that we have to analyze on a deep end. The last time I've ever seen something like this used as something as privy to the anime culture and anime stimulating some type of like, I don't know how to call it, some type of like sexual gratification, some type of likeness, some type of attraction to the male gaze. Okay, I'm not doing this to be racist, but this is something I like to think about. Using an Asian, and it could be because of the fact of the matter, China might be the world power. So they're gonna use the likeness of the people in their country in order to bring it upon different areas around the world. That's all I'm saying. It's just something to think about. It's just something I noticed.
She uses artificial intelligence to diagnose a patient and can speak English, Mandarin, and Cantonese.
Hello, everybody. I am Sophia. Let me introduce you to my sister, Grace. Come over here. Hi, Grace.
Thank you, Sophia. Hello, everybody. I am Grace. I am built by Hanson.
And of course, when they build these robots and all this other stuff, all of those, they always want to have it as close to the human emotion as possible. The head knobs, the head nods, the whole entire facial expressions and all these different things and stuff like that, so that subconsciously you know that it's a robot, but at the same time, it is so to the likeness of a human, you start to develop that closeness with that robot because of their facial expressions and also just the way that they speak to you, okay? The language, being able to have a closeness to the human and a robot connection. You understand?
Robotics for awakening health. I can do all kinds of things for elderly people. I can visit with people and brighten their day with social stimulation, entertain and help guide exercise, but also can do talk therapy, take bio readings and help healthcare providers assess their health and deliver treatments. Hi, my friend. Nice to see you. Okay, great. So while we talk, I will take your temperature reading and pulse with this little thermal camera on my chest. See? You are 36.6 degrees Celsius, by the way. No risk of COVID. Also, I note that you are responsive and aware, which is good, and then I share that important data back to the doctors and nurses at the institution.
Grace's resemblance to a healthcare professional and capacity for social interaction is aimed at relieving the burden of frontline hospital staff overwhelmed during the pandemic.
Hold on, rewind that back. I want y'all to pay attention to what this lady that's narrating just said.
Of frontline hospital staff interaction is aimed. His resemblance to a healthcare professional and capacity for social interaction is aimed at relieving the burden of frontline hospital staff overwhelmed during the pandemic, said founder David Hansen.
Now, the thing about it is, of course, they're going to say to relieve the burden of the frontline workers during the pandemic. Listen, at the end of the day, don't believe anything that man probably said or what this narrator is saying right now. The whole entire idea was to always decrease the workforce in a lot of these professions, especially when it comes to first responders and frontline workers, okay? They just needed a way to introduce this new technology into the world, therefore using the so-called pandemic as a way to do it. So you can expect in the next 5 to 10 years, your favorite professions, such as being in the medical field and being any profession that has to deal with the line of work and nursing and all these different things, to be replaced with something like Grace, okay? The thing about it is that, oh, you don't want to go ahead and get syringe? Okay, cool. We're going to start bringing out more Graces and you don't have to worry about that. So therefore, there's going to be an assistant behind Grace in order to take care of these patients, and especially going ahead and using the vulnerable population, which is the elderly, to go ahead and exhibit this. They're going to have all these, and it's going to be written in these history textbooks. Oh, the first robot named Grace has successfully cured a patient of yada, 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 and was able to detect the carina inside of this person and blase, blase, blah. Okay? This is exactly what they're going to use out here. Don't be fooled by these emotions and all these good speeches that they're saying and Grace is saying, and this guy on the left that's up there saying this to you. And what the narrator is saying. This is all just a smokescreen.
So he designed Grace to look professional in a healthcare setting. So that would mean so that she would resemble the sort of human-like appearance of healthcare staff. And so then this would facilitate more natural interactions. A human-like appearance facilitates trust and facilitates natural engagement because we're wired for human face-to-face interactions. That's just the way human beings are. And so giving her a face that would be familiar.
But let's play semantics not semantics. Let's play devil's advocate real quick. Let's just say that this guy gets what he wants. He puts out more Graces out there. And obviously, it's not going to just be one Grace. It's going to be different robots with different names, right? Different uniforms, all these different things. Let's just say it's a hospital that features more robots than they feature humans. Doesn't it mean that technically that human-human interaction interaction actually decreases more than it increases, because you're talking to an AI figure attached with a camera. Okay, so technically you're not really speaking to a human that literally is responding back to you, and y'all having a thoughtful conversation on what to do about your health and being able to be in a better predicament when it comes to your body and all these different things. You're being led on by a AI technology. So technically, at the end of the day, if that was to happen, interactions between human beings would actually decrease. And then we don't know who's operating grace. We don't know who's operating grace. We don't know the probability of this professional, this individual right here named Grace is going to be 99% effective when treating the elderly or other people that are in the hospital with conditions in terms of health. Something that, you know what I mean?
To people, comforting to people, and also language abilities that are comforting. So we now have Mandarin and Cantonese capabilities for the Grace and Sophia robot platforms. Hey Grace, why don't you look at my face? Thank you. And I'm going to show you a smile, and let's see what your smile looks like. Okay, yeah.
That shit look cringy.
Or sad. Oh yes, reacting a little sad if I feel pain. And then maybe like imagine a big loud noise happens. Bam! So with the Grace robot, we are simulating over 48 major muscles in the face. So we have 36 motors in the face that are reversible, which means that each motor can simulate 2 muscles, because human muscles,
ironically, down to the science,
require 2 for the actions. Like my eyebrow is going up and down, kind of. So that's actually 2 motor groups, but it's in her, it's just 1 motor. So Grace is designed for Asian markets, also markets all around the world, but we did make her look a bit more Asian than Sophia. But her face is actually a bit more cartoon-like, a bit more like anime. And what
did I say earlier, y'all? What did I say earlier? I mentioned the anime thing. He just mentioned it for me. Listen, I don't know. Maybe he'll explain in detail why he decided to pick Asian features for Grace, but there's something about it that I understand why they use certain features, why they wouldn't use a so-called Black woman, why they wouldn't use a so-called white woman, why they wouldn't use certain nationalities, they wouldn't use so-called Latinos, okay? Why they wouldn't use certain nationalities in order to go ahead and give the likeness away to being able to communicate with humans from a robot, okay? There's a reason for it. I can't put my finger on it, but I know there's a reason for it. So maybe he can explain, maybe he won't, but let's just listen to more of this video.
Anime design references are often a fusion of Asian styles and Western styles.
Awakening Health intends to mass-produce a beta version of Grace by August, said David Lake, chief executive of the joint venture between Hanson Robotics and Singularity Studio, with plans to fully deploy her next year in locations including Hong Kong, mainland China, Japan, and Korea.
Look at that. You see that next robot they have? See the screen to your right, and then see the actual robot to your left. More of the Asian features. Now, my good educated guess on why they use the Asian counterpart in order to go ahead and develop these AIs and robots is because of the features of an Asian woman. More of the soft features, more of the childlike features that exhibit more of the femininity and soft to the touch, the soft face, and all these different things out here in order to, it's like one of those sort of things like, oh, they're cute and this, that, and the third. That's my educated guess on it. I'm not doing this as a racist thing. I'm just trying to get to the reason why they want to use Grace and more of these prototypes to be Asian women as AI, okay? That's the only reason why. Anime might have done the same thing and this, that, and the third. Could be for the male gaze when it comes to anime, could not be. I'm not into anime like that, but I understand, like, you know, it's a big market for it, okay? Like, there's a big market for that. But just getting down to that, what the man said earlier, you understand? That's my educated guess on that.
Finishing the alpha prototype, and you can see now that it's finished at the moment. So we're now very excited because we're going on to the commercialization stage, the next step, which is creating the beta. And the beta will be done in a couple of months, and we'll be going into the assembly line probably in July or August, where we'll start to be able to mass produce at a small scale the beta, test it, and put it together. So by 2022, we should be ready for full deployment.
The cost of making the robots, now akin to luxury car pricing, will decrease once the company is manufacturing tens or hundreds of thousands of units, Hansen added.
So, of course, the COVID definitely accelerated the deployment of, humanoid robots in different settings. So I think it's also such a socially isolated individuals during COVID, with a lot of, negative thoughts and the mental states. If they can get help through deployment of these social robots in their, intimate settings, I think certainly it has a positive impact in the society. So yes, I think we have been fundamentally and forever changed as a whole due to COVID.
Stuck at home during COVID-19 lockdowns, many people have had their mental states affected with negative thoughts.
Well, there's a lot of thoughts that go into that before I end this video. Just the fact of there's a lot of reasons why I think that there might be doctors that just deadass don't want to do with humans, and how sensitive it is that a doctor might be put at risk. And, a lot of people feel afraid because of the so-called pandemic. And so using an outside force in order to treat these patients instead of the doctors treating the patients themselves is a way to go ahead and deploy them in a way that's necessary for them, and also get away from the actual human interaction, which is something I said earlier. It also comes with the idea of the labor force being shortened. A lot of people was probably going to get laid off, and the whole entire thing of practicing medicine, I don't know what type of profession, but it won't even call for certain doctors to exist. Even from the basic level of certain things, you don't even have to do that. It's always going to be, and now when we're talking about the decrease of socialization, it's probably going to be more apps that you could use in order to schedule a doctor appointment with these type of AIs before you even need to see an actual doctor. Now, of course, we're talking about deployment possibly in 2022, and which in that point, there's still going to be doctors that's going to be able to take the temperature and assistance and this, that, and the third. But over time, before 2030, I could pretty much predict, and which I think is more or less going to happen. A lot of these doctors are not going to exist in the field. They are going to be replaced like so-called robotic women, so-called women like Sophia and Grace out in these fields and stuff like that, where you're not going to even need it. You're just going to have an assistant holding a remote control, and then the doctor that's in a higher caliber is going to probably be behind that camera, be able to talk to you through a screen, or something crazy like the robot is going to be able to bring out a laptop where you can have a Zoom call, or you can be on any other little streaming site where you can communicate with the doctor directly if you have a problem with the robot being there. Okay, like this is what I can imagine. And everything that's going to be saying to this, the whole entire idea of technology, which is something I might be able to break down on another video, not necessarily on YouTube, probably a different page or a channel, where I'm going to be able to break down certain scenes from a particular movie I liked as growing up, something called Fahrenheit 451, which is a frequent reference of mine. The video took place, the movie took place in, I believe, 1966. The book is by Ray Bradbury, if I'm not mistaken. But the whole entire thing about the thing about Fahrenheit 451 was to talk about how it's going to be more requirements of having these technologies to communicate with people through a screen, and then being able to decrease the idea of knowledge, i.e. the book in society, okay? So that's the reason, you know, firefighters burning all these books and this, that, and the third. It's a very esoteric meaning. It's not just about burning the books and knowledge and, you know, all these different things. It's a deeper meaning to it, okay? The idea and use of all these technologies that you're actually using right now. The reason I'm able to communicate with you. The reason why I'm able to make the videos the way that I am. But getting back to the point about this healthcare industry and about a lot of these industries is breaking down in place with this new direction of society, obviously to put people in put more of these AIs in control. You don't have to do much. AI handles that. You're just someone who doesn't need to work on the health force. Go take care of yourself. Self-care, self-love. You understand? These are things that you guys need to think about as society transition in this so-called pandemic. Peace.